It's time for the one and the only show. It can only be the Luke Howard Show live. Thank you for the wonderful, lovely round of applause. Oh, thank you. I'll tell you what, I'll do my bells. Thank you. Thank you. Lovely, beautiful day. Well, actually, it's not a beautiful day, actually, because today is going to thunder and lightning, and it's supposed to rain today, and it's supposed to rain tomorrow, would you believe? Wow, rain today, rain tomorrow, thunder and lightning. It's supposed to be a thunderstorm for the next 2 days, so it's going to be nice and cool today and tomorrow, which is going to be, lovely. Yesterday, we reached up to 33 degrees. I know all you Brits, and of course myself, all we ever talk about is the weather, but of course, it's going to be lovely, though, because enough hot weather. 33 degrees, oh gosh, 33, but don't worry, because it's not going to be like that today or for the next couple of days. But yesterday was scorching. 33 degrees was way too high, and it was, I would say yesterday was the hottest day ever. That's what I thought. It was the hottest day ever. But anyway, it is morning. It is Friday the 26th of June, and we're getting you all ready for the weekend today with a cracking show. We've got music. We've got entertainment. We've got Piers Bloomfield on the show chatting about whatever he wants to chat about. We've got the best show. We are the team. We are the best show. So sit back and relax, and of course, enjoy Friday's show, because we're going to be getting you all ready for that wonderful, wonderful weekend, of course. So, let's start off then by talking about some stories in the news from today that are breaking from today. Now, this part of the show, we usually talk about our coronavirus part. This is the part where we speak about coronavirus. Now, COVID-19 antibody tests for NHS and care staff are being rolled out without, this is adequate assessment, and experts have warned this. Now, the tests that could place an unnecessary burden on the NHS. Now, the 14 senior admetics, they say in a letter in the BMJ. Now, they said last month the government said that it had brought 10 million antibodies tests and asked if NHS trusts and care homes to make them available for staff in England. Now, officials say that the blood tests are to see if someone has had the virus and will play an increasingly important role. Now, some patients and people have been having routine blood tests in England, like myself. I've been having blood tests. So I have blood tests now once a year. I used to have one every 6 months, and then it was every 3 months, and now it's gone back to once a year because my blood's amazing. I've got the best blood in the world. So, officials have said that the blood tests are to see if someone has had the virus and will play an increasingly important role. No, I have a different type of blood test, not that type of blood test. Now, some patients and people are having routine blood tests in England and are being offered them too. Now, for those of you who don't know what antibody tests are, I'm going to explain to you what it is. Now, they normally show if someone who has previously been unwell with a bug has developed a antibody. I haven't had a bug since I was in primary school. I haven't had a bug for years and years and years at this moment. But that offer protection against future bowls of the illness. Now, but they do a immune system reacts in the COVID-19 virus, and it remains uncertain. Now, with the current laboratory tests in NHS England, it says that a positive result has shown as a person who has had this virus. But crucially, it does not prove that they have immunity against future attacks or whatever they could transmit the virus to others maybe. But nevertheless, though, health officials have said that gathering the results of these tests will help understand more about the spread of the disease. Now, in a moment, they're going to be talking about family and friends. We're going to talk about it a bit more. We're going to talk about hairdressers a bit more, and we're going to talk about cinemas a bit more, because I know that we spoke about it all on the show yesterday, but I think we should actually talk about it a bit more. So I will get into that a little bit, and I'm going to let you know what is allowed and what is not allowed. We will get to that all in a bit. We'll cover it all in a bit. Now, a group of scientists have said that a positive result is unable to prove immunity. The tests offer no benefit to hospitals and care staff. Now, the results do not change with what personal protective equipment staff must wear. Now, for example, The academics also suggest that there is little data on how well the tests work for people at highest risk, including, people belonging to some ethnic minorities and older patients. Now, instead, they call for other carefully designed strategies to help monitor the spread of the virus. Now, Professor Sir John Bell from Oxford University, who has advised the government on antibody tests, said that the academics who wrote the BMJ had underestimated the value of the tests. Now, we do need to know how many people out there have been infected, and the only way to do this though is if antibody testing he's told BBC Radio 4's Today's Programme. I had cake for breakfast this morning. I say every single day what I have for breakfast. Today I've had cake and it's got to me a little bit. Excuse me. Now, he said they were not to say that there was not enough evidence that a positive test indicated immunity. He said you couldn't safely use it as a way of telling people whether they could be exposed or not. He said, so Professor Martin Hibbard of the London School of Hygiene and Tropical Medicine. I have researched on this. I've done a lot of research about this. Now, the tests as an important complement of the public health response. He added that if it used successfully, this is Martin Hibbard saying this. He said he used unsuccessfully the data generated would be imported solvents information for understanding the implement of control measures put in place. Meanwhile, Dr. Tom Wingfield at the Liverpool School of Tropical Medicine said that he shared the concerns raised in the academic's letter. Now, he also added that we don't yet have a significant evidence on the accuracy and interpretation of this antibody test. Now, there's a few other things that we should cover on the show. What about other parts of the UK? Wales is currently working on its testing policies, and meanwhile, Scotland's chief medical officer has written to the health boards to say that they should not offer on-demand antibody testing and the NHS staff care workers or patients. Now, so there's lots of other things about it on there as well. You can get that online about all of that. Okay. Now, I want to talk about Royal Mail now, and it's going to cut 2,000 management jobs. Wow. Royal Mail is to cut about a fifth of its management jobs as it struggles to deal with efforts of coronavirus crisis. It said that the pandemic had ignored the trend of more parcels and fewer letters being sent, and that it had not adapted quickly through to that. The firm wants to make 130 million savings. Now, Royal Mail has faced challenges for a number of years, and former Chief Executive Riskaback made a surprise exit from the business back in May this year. Now, it currently has about 9,700 managers with 2,000 jobs expected to be cut after a cancellation process. Now, the job losses will hit senior roles hardest, with half of them set to go. And it will mainly fall on so excited back office jobs, including finance and commercial and IT. Now, frontline postal staff are unlikely to be affected because Royal Mail needs to preserve quality of service. A spokesman has said this, so because Royal Mail's cohort of middle managers, 1/5 of the near 10,000 total, is a warm up for a much tougher set of negotiations with frontline staff. Now, the company has worked with Fracture's relationship with its workforce and the communication workers union for several years, and its attempts to change terms and conditions, including pension arrangements, and have been talked with difficulty. Now, Chairman Keith Williams, who is standing in as a chief executive after the abrupt departure of Rico Bank last month, it's blunt about the need for change, saying that the company had not adapted quickly enough to the changes in our marketplace of more, parcels and fewer letters. Now, that sickness diagnosis could have been written at any point in the last decade, and it is perhaps slightly surprising that after more than a decade of organisational reshuffles, the company still has 10,000 people in management roles. The job cuts are still subject to cancellation. The bigger battle with the CWU still awaits. Now, the United Nation, which represents the Royal Mail managers, said that the move is to cut jobs, defects and attention from where the real problems lie. Now, poor decision making up to the top of the Royal Mail in the past has failed to recognise the pace in the decline in the volume of letters, and those has been too slow. Investment in technology and facilities to keep abreast of the huge growth in parcels, and said that Unite National Lead Officer for the Royal Mail Group, Mike Eatwell. Now, this scenario has been made worse by the impact of coronavirus on the economy. He said the job cuts were a classic example of trying to reposition to businesses to create a viable long-term future while feeling under pressure to make short-term cuts that only hinder that transition. Now, Royal Mail has said that the planned job cuts, which it wants to make by March 2021, would have 130 million on people's costs. The company did not play to a dividend these shareholders back this year, and said it in the statement to investors on today that it would not pay a dividend in 2021. Either Royal Mail shares fell a month 7% in early trading. In the year of March 2020, the company made a profit before tax of 180 million, down from 241 million from the year before. Now, Royal Mail has been trying to move away from the UK-focused letters businesses to be an intrinsically focused parcels businesses. Now, said Richard Hunter, head of markets and negotiating investor. Now, the coronavirus crisis has caused job losses in a number of industries in the UK so far, and the evacuating industry has been hit previously hard. And when yesterday, airport ground handling giant Swissport announced it would help half the UK workforce. Right, okay, so from news now to stories in the paper. I'm going to tell you about what is actually going to be happening on the 4th of July. I'm sure we went through this all on yesterday's show, but I'm going to go through it once again for the ones who didn't hear it. Now, this is unbelievable. Today, we can actually say our long national hibernation is coming to an end. Woo! The PM said that later. He added later that, frankly, I can't wait to go to the pub or restaurant, even if it's not compatible with the new diet I'm on. He warned people against honourable it, saying that I hope July the 4th, which is next Saturday, will be a great day, better than Independence Day. But we can't have writing scenes, he said, in the best garden when the virus can be passed on. Now, Chancellor Rishi Sunak was pleased by the PM's decision after the number of workers furloughed climbed again to 9.2 million. He said, I can't wait to get back into the pub, and I don't even drink. He said he tweeted alongside a photo of himself giving a cheery thumbs up towards what happened to be a kitchen shop. Now, Labour welcomed the changes but demanded the science behind them, and the Chief Medical Officer, Professor Chris Whitty, had previously said that he wanted the 2-metre rule to stay until the end of the pandemic. But he actually dismissed that comment as shortened the other day. He said that the advice was still to stay 2 metres from others, if possible, with and granting restrictions required to the indoor seatings, such as pubs, where that is not practical. If people hear a distorted version of what is said and start behaving in ways that they would have before this all happened, we will get an upstick, he said. This is balance of risk, but it is absolutely not risk-free, and nobody think it is. Now, Chief Scientific Advisor, this is Sir Patrick Vallance, added that you are looking at things like orientation, face covering, screens. Now, my mum wore a face mask the other day, and she said to me, she said it was real. She said she doesn't know how people could wear face masks. It just, I don't know. It's quite hard to wear a face mask. I mean, I don't wear a face mask, but I find it very, I don't know. I mean, how can people wear it all day? It's all I'm really going to say. It must. I don't know. I think some people do find it quite hard to wear it. I'm sure, but the environment, the time people have spent there, they don't be fooled that this has gone away. So David King, one of the Sir Patrick's prudentials, said that it was still far too premature to end of 2-metre rule. We've got a long way to go between now and July the 4th. It's not that far. It's only next Saturday, for heaven's sake, to get the level of the infectiosity down. He said that it's only next Saturday. It's only next Saturday. That's all I'm saying. He said, I feel very nervous about 2 metres being dropped to 1 metre, but much more nervous about it being dropped indoors. I'm sure a lot of people will listen to the 1 metre rule, and I'm sure we all will, I'm sure. But there was no respite for businesses, including nightclubs and now bars, indoor gyms and swimming pools, which must remain closed beyond July the 4th. To us, this is busy because we are part of the solution, said Glenn Irwin of David Lloyd Clubs. If people come to health and fitness facilities, it helps boost their immune system. The chief medical officer has regularly said that the health and fitness is one of the best things you can do to protect yourself from COVID-19. Now, Millie Kendall of the British Beauty Council said that the continuing shutdown was very frustrating. It's busy because nails and beauty are so hygiene and safety conditions. She added that Mr Johnson said the government was